What's up, Bears fans? And of course, as always, welcome back to the Bear Review. Got a special one here for you today, guys. Doing a live mock draft here on this Friday afternoon. None other with the man, the myth, and the legend, my friend Swifty. How you
What's
doing, man?
up? What's up, man? It's nice out today too.
I
Might have to
know.
go for a run or something after this. It's sun is shining. It's bright, beautiful day. Less than a month away from the draft.
hmm
Dreams of Ashton Genty.
yeah, and it's crazy, man. I have to admit, man. I started off this whole draft process at the very beginning of the year, and I really wasn't sure what I thought about Genty. But the more I watch him, all his tape and the pro day and all that, I don't know how the Bears can pass on him
And if
if
he's
he's a
there, if he falls to 10, I think he's gonna be the pick. I think the bigger thing though is just the Bears improving their running game. Eric Bieniemy's serious about the running game. Ben Johnson's serious about the running game, and this draft offers a perfect opportunity to pair a new running back to help take the pressure off Caleb Williams. Doesn't have to be Ashton Genty, but I like my guy Quinshawn Judkins. A lot of other names out there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, of course. We'll see what we get today. But one thing I wanted to float with you real quick is this, and I find this absolutely crazy. But there's people out there that think Ryan Poles should actually trade out of the first round completely.
No, that's just. I mean,
Yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on that
I've
one.
seen the trade. I mean, if a team offered us a first round pick next year to come up, I'd probably do it. It wouldn't be, but the scenarios that are posted on Twitter are mostly just dumb. I mean, so I usually people just trade down and then trade down again, and it's like, oh, we got 8 picks in round 2, and it's like that's not realistic. There's not 8 teams that are going to give us their second round pick now. But if there was one big trade where, say, the one scenario is Shadur Sanders is there, right?
hmm
And a team like the Steelers could offer to move up. But if a team that's sitting right at the top of the second round, pick like 34, 35, that didn't get a quarterback in round 1 and still needs a quarterback, and they wanted to give us their second rounder this year, a first next year, and then 2 other top 3 round picks, whether that's this year, next year, 2027, whatever. If you get all that, yes, I would 100% be for it. It'd be beautiful because the talent we get, the difference between pick 10 and pick 40 isn't that different, in my opinion. There's a couple guys that I believe are special, like the Ashton Genties and the Tyler Warrens. But if you're not going to take those guys anyway, and you're just going to take an edge rusher, like say they're just going to pick, say if they stay and they're just going to pick James Pierce Jr. or Michael Williams, wouldn't
hmm
you rather get all those extra picks and then you can still grab a pass rusher like Nick Scourton with that pick, and you still have 2 more picks and an extra pick to take another edge rusher?
I mean, I get it. I can't bring myself to be okay with completely trading out of round one. I understand that there's a talent level that is kind of pretty standard across the board once you get outside of top 10. The difference between 11 and 50, is it that big of a jump? Probably not. But if I'm going into this draft and like I have a guy I really want, I'm just going to take him. I don't really care about the draft number or where
Mhm.
they place. At the end of the day, that round number and where he was picked is meaningless in the NFL.
Yeah, I think there's probably about a 90% chance that we stick and pick at pick 10.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about trading down, the odds of that, the odds of even trading down are probably 5% or less. So then
Mhm.
when you're talking about trading all the way out of the first round, there's probably less than a 1% chance. And that's why I would say it would have to be a very rare scenario, and a team would have to really want to come up. And the only situation that's going to be is for a quarterback. And in that scenario, if you're getting first round picks in future years, it's always worth it to me. If you're getting extra first round picks, I'm always in favor of those deals because you never know how good or bad that team's going to perform. We learned it from the Panthers. That team could end up giving you the number 1 overall pick. So I'm always in favor of acquiring extra first rounders, but I don't think the odds of that are, I think it's like 1 in a million right now. I don't think it's something that's even worth really debating much.
Oh, more than likely. One other thing is, there's been a little bit of a buzz on X about the Bears actually looking to trade up for Ashton Genty. What's your take on that?
For Ashton Genty,
Yeah,
I'd
they
say
said
there's no chance.
no chance at all. Okay.
There's no chance. I'd say the only guy we would trade up for would be Abdul Carter. And even that one, it would have to be a situation where he falls further than most people think. Like he'd have to fall to pick 5 or 6 at least.
Okay. All right then. Yeah. So let's get to the whole reason why you guys are here, and that's the mock draft here. So a bit of context: we will not be using PFF. We're going to be using the PFN mock draft simulator. Um, Probably not going to do any trade downs. I think we're going to stick with all the picks, but I think that's something Swift we can revisit once we get things going.
We'll see what's going on here.
All right, so
shout out to the people in the chat though. Did see some people down. Let's see, Plank, Foster, Antmiss. I see you guys. There's some people. Bear Truth 9. Cool people in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to have you all here. Antmiss, you've been jumping into my videos recently. I appreciate you, brother, for that one. Plank, me and you go way back on that one. Foster's here. Who else we got? Bear Truth 9, Captain Bears, Hype Man. So I'm glad you're all here, man. I'm really excited for this. All right, so we got the draft up here. We got 7 rounds. We're going fast because I don't want to be here all day. All right, so let's go.
Oh, baby, who's going? Oh, I seen Genty go.
Yeah. Oh, let's get this out of here.
All right. So you guys don't have to worry about that.
No. So we got Cameron Ward going number 1, which this is where I figure he's going to go. I'm actually surprised Abdul Carter made it all the way to number 4.
So, yeah, you could just swap Carter and Travis, or Campbell and Travis Hunter there, and it's the same, or Carter and Campbell, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. So Mason Graham's gone. Will Johnson to the Panthers. Sanders to the Saints, of all people.
That's kind of standard. I mean, the Saints pick. I mean, they do need a quarterback. I don't know if Derek Carr is the long-term option. I don't know if that's where Dion wants his son to go, though.
True. So you're not going to be like first-round mock and say Spencer Rattler's the next coming to Jesus?
No. Man. Okay.
All right. So
Tyler Warren's definitely an option.
Yep. We got Tyler Warren. We got McMillan. We got Shamar Stewart. I know a lot of people aren't high on him. I wouldn't mind taking him at 10. Kelvin Banks is always there. Another good edge rusher that most people are sleeping on right now is Jalen Walker there. You see him at 14.
Scroll down a little. Let's see. Yeah, I think the players on the board, I think it'd be between Tyler Warren and Jalen Walker for me.
Okay.
It'd be between those 2 players. And do you want the mismatch 12 personnel guy on offense, or do you want the guy on defense who's kind of the same thing, kind of like a chess piece for Dennis Allen? He can move him around the defense. He can have him cover linebackers, spy the quarterback, play some zone defense, and get after quarterbacks. I'd probably lean towards Jalen Walker. He's an exciting player, and I know people question his ability to be an edge rusher, but when I look at guys in the draft, I look at what is the thing they do best. And Jalen Walker, the thing he does best is get after quarterbacks, but he's just always near the ball. He's always making plays, and in the way the NFL's kind of changing with all these mobile quarterbacks, having a guy like Jalen Walker who can not only get after the quarterback, but can also spy him and stop them from scrambling around and tearing you up with their legs. I love a guy like Jalen Walker.
Yeah, it was going on, Kumar. But, I 100% agree. I watched a ton of tape on Jalen Walker recently. I was going to do a separate video on him, but, I still may do that. He's a versatile player, and I think that's something that Dennis Allen's defense is really lacking at the moment. We have a lot of guys that are, these traditional big 260-pound plus edge rushers, but you don't have that real speed screamer off the edge, right? So you kind of need that, especially when you look to kick Deo inside. You're going to have 2 faster guys off on the edge. Now, Montez Sweat isn't, that bad, but he's still not, excuse me, he's still not, a speed rusher, which is something that they're lacking. If I had to compare Walker to anyone, it'd probably be somewhere along the lines of like Hassan Reddick or even Brian Burns.
Yep. Bear Truth 9 is talking about Mike Green. I do like Mike Green as a pass rusher. I really like him as a pass rusher. He's the only guy in the draft who he has legit off-field concerns. I mean, he just questioned, and then you also have to take into account short arms, smaller than you like as an edge, but damn, he's good on tape. I mean, really good on tape.
No, his tape is excellent. There is some concerns with his arm length. He's only 32 inches even, but um, I don't have it up here. But they did an article on Saints Wire last season regarding exactly what the Saints look for in their defensive ends. So they're looking for guys around 6'3". They will take guys under 250 pounds, but generally you're going to be sitting a good chunk of the time until you bulk up. And I know when they weighed him at the combine, he was around 251. So he was like 1 pound shy of their minimum. And their minimum arm length was 32 inches, so he was good there. He killed it on every other athletic trait, though. But I do understand the concerns with the, the off the field issues, as they put it. But of course, they're nothing more than allegations. So there were no charges involved. So I don't really know what to say there.
But they're serious things. It's not.
It's
the,
not that
the,
it's,
the level of seriousness with those kind of accusations are far beyond anything when you're talking about players like James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Carter. Those guys just had personality where people question their but they didn't have this is a major concern. If there's any truth to it, he's a guy who he'd be out of the NFL. That's how serious it is. So that's one where people are going to drop. It's not a small thing. It's such a huge allegation, and it's one where I've seen it before where if there's just one, I'd maybe overlook it, but the fact that there's two already, that shows a possible pattern of behavior with we've seen it with guys like Deshaun Watson and other guys in the NFL. And another problem with that is it happened in college, and things like that only get worse when you go to the NFL, because once you get money and power, if that's how you acted before, if there's any truth to that, and I'm not the one to say it's true or not, but the fact that that he talked about it himself at the combine, to me, that's just a huge red flag. And if I was another team, if we were the Raiders or the Bengals, I'd be all for him. But when you're looking at what Ryan Poles and his history of drafting, I believe Mike Green might be completely off our draft board. And it's one reason I don't talk about him a lot. I like him as a player. But if I had to bet, I'd say there's a chance we completely took him off the draft board.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a player you're going to have to do extensive homework on, both on tape and off the field. So he's going to have to be brought in for a minimum of a 30 visit and a private workout. You're going to have to take him out and really sit him down and get to know exactly who Mike Green is, right? Because we don't really know. The allegations are just that, allegations. It's not like he was officially charged. So you have nothing in terms of evidence to really go by to help make your decision, right? More than likely, he's not going to Chicago. However, there's always a possibility right now. But let's go ahead.
To me, I don't like allegations that serious, so it scares me, and that's my biggest point.
Rightfully so.
If it scares me, it probably scares Ryan Poles and George McCaskey way more than me. So because McCaskey's the one running the $1 billion franchise there. So to me, I just think it's very, very unlikely.
No, rightfully so. Valid opinion there, and I would have to agree with you on that.
Especially with all the other edge rusher options there. It's not like if he was the only pass rusher and he was the one clear standout guy, but it's like, what's up? We got James Pierce Jr., we got Shamar Stewart, we got Mykel Williams, we got Nick Scourton, we got Princely Umanmielen, we got Landon Jackson, we got Braden Swinson. So it's not like it's just Mike Green. So it's just tough for me. I wish we could know more about it, or maybe find out more clarity, but it's probably something we'll never know, because most of those records and stuff, never become public. But it's if he would have never talked about it at the combine, I don't think I would have taken it as a red flag. But when he addressed it at the combine, that made it an even bigger story, because he brought attention to it himself by addressing it. And I know you can look at it as, hey, at least he's getting ahead of it. But it's like, when he brought attention to it at a national level like that, to me, that made it a lot more serious than just a rumor that's on Twitter. That's him talking about it to every reporter and every GM that's at the combine. So and then he also said that teams have asked him about that. So that makes it more real to me. And it's something I didn't want to spend. It's something I don't ever like to talk about. Definitely didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but it is something that's serious and probably has to be at least addressed once, because he is a guy who is super talented. And when I did my analytics on edge rushers, he stands out not only in pass rush win rate, but against the run as well. He's just a really good player.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. So you have to just temper your level of, nervousness on the player in that case. Like I said, it's going to be something that we're probably never going to get the answer to. And like Foster said, I know he said J2K brought up on their show last night that there were no charges, which is correct. And the high school claim was dropped, and nothing ever came of the one in college. So we're probably going to never know. But to go back to your other point where you're talking about the guys that Ryan Proles brought into the team and how George McCaskey is, more than likely they're going to say, I don't want to touch that with a 50-foot pole.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with it. It's not that I wouldn't draft Mike Green. It's I don't believe George McCaskey or Ryan Poles would draft Mike Green, at least not at pick 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Mike Green falls to round 2 and he's there at pick 39, it's a completely different story. But to me, he's a top 15 talent, so he's probably not going to fall that far. And if he does, then you have to wonder why. Why is every team passing on him, and then that becomes an even bigger concern. So to me, it's very unlikely.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I think just going to jump off subjects here. I think we've been on this a little bit. Bear Truth 9, I think we've spoken this a couple times regarding the offensive line. Ryan Poles has injected a lot of resources into the line with Tooney and Jonah Jackson and Drew Dahlman. And right now, you have 2 left tackles that are sitting on the roster right now, Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji. So it doesn't make the pick to be as necessary as it was, say, maybe 3 weeks ago. Right. So I think Ryan Poles said himself, the board is open. And
I do like Kelvin Banks Jr. I think he's a hard player to place in this draft. I mean, and that's something that I think after the first 5 players, almost all these players are really hard to place. If you're ranking this draft 1 through 50, like top 5 are easy. But then 6 through 50, you're like, oh man, like a lot of these guys, they all have a lot of upside. They all have small weaknesses and things you can nitpick at, but they're all very talented players. And Kelvin Banks is one of those guys. He's in that group, but he's not one of the ones I'm higher on. He's trending down as others are trending up. And to me, it's right now, if he came in, do I think he's better than Braxton Jones right now from day one? I do not.
No.
Unless Braxton has a setback with his ankle or something.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, like I said, I don't see Banks as being a huge upgrade at this moment over Braxton Jones. And I also don't know what I'm getting with Amagaji. He missed all of training camp. He dealt with injuries throughout the beginning of the season. He didn't have that chance to really, build up a repertoire in the NFL. He's going to have that this coming season, though. After that, we can make a decision. But I think what we're leaning towards is probably going with Jalen Walker with this pick. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, I think Jalen Walker would be the pick. I will say, if we manage to trade down to like pick 15, I think right now we're just in a tough spot. Like setting at pick 10 here, like on this board, as you can see, there's a couple players that fell that probably should be top 10 picks. Tet McMillan is one. I didn't consider Tet McMillan here because I don't think we're taking a wide receiver in top 10, but I see Tet McMillan. He's like a Mike Evans, Drake London type. He's going to go top 10 most likely. The Panthers would have probably taken him. The Jets might take him. The Raiders might take him. So, but one of these guys are going to fall, right? If someone takes Tet McMillan, then someone else falls to us. But Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, all of these guys, I think there's a chance Mason Graham could fall. There's a chance Ashton Jeanty could fall. But basically, we're setting at a pick right now where we still can get a guy who's potentially a blue chip player and a top 10 talent. And
Exactly.
whereas and right now Kelvin Banks isn't quite to that tier. If we trade down 5 picks, then we're in the wide open wasteland of pick 15 to 50 where all these guys are mixed in. So when you get to that point, I would take Banks at 15. I won't take him at 10. So that's just where I'm at right now with Banks. But yeah, Jalen Walker, first pick.
All right, let's do it. Let's see where we end up.
Ooh.
All right, so I'm just gonna get rid of these.
All right, scroll up. Let's see where some of these guys went. I just want to take a look.
All right, so there's Mike Green at 32, Josh Simmons at 31.
Yeah, Mike Green almost, if he would have fell 7 more picks, I was all over it. Yeah.
You got Banks going at 20 to the Texans.
And that's right. 15 to 20, I'd take Banks there. I'm all for that. Mike Hill. Oh, Tyler, back-to-back tight ends. Ooh. Hey, maybe we could trade for Pitts then, since they just took Loveland.
Exactly. Shamar Stewart went 12 to Dallas. I can see him going there.
I could see Shamar in Dallas, yeah.
He would definitely fit really good.
Oh, man.
We lost out on Grant. He went to the Browns at 33. I feel like that's kind of right for him.
And this is a scenario I guaranteed when I was on with Greg Gabriel earlier. I guaranteed that Omarion Hampton does not fall to 39 in the real NFL draft. And here he is in our mock. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take him, or even like I would think Walter Nolan might has a chance.
Walter Nolan has a shot. Yeah, someone's gonna fall. I don't think Hampton has a shot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good guys here.
Scroll down just a tad. Yeah, let's see who's on the board here. There's Josh Connerly's on the board.
Because we can definitely get Josh Connerly at 41 at this rate.
Landon Jackson. Okay. All right, go back up. Ooh, this is tough. I would. Man, okay. So we got Jalen Walker. So we already got our edge. Kind of a guy who's a linebacker and an edge. We could still take an edge later, but honestly, if Omarion Hampton was here, I would turn the card in and take him. But he's a guy who I believe there's zero chance of falling. I do think Walter Nolan can fall because there's so many defensive tackles there, right? There's a whole group of D tackles, but there's only Hampton's the number 2 running back. I don't see any way we go 38 picks with only 1 running back going. So I'm going to pretend Hampton's not there if you're cool with that.
No, that's fine. I did the same thing.
But I will say there's a chance Walter Nolan falls and Xavier Watts, Ariante. The rest of the board looks pretty safe. So yeah. I would take Walter Nolan here. But I'm not going to.
Okay.
I think he's probably a guy I would take. In this situation, though, I'm going to grab Ariante Ursary, I think, and grab the tackle that I like. Or what do you think about that? Give me your thoughts. We're not going to lock it in yet.
No. I like Ursay a lot. I feel he might be more inside than anything else, but, I enjoy his game. Walter Nolan's a definite pick. I think if he's at 39, I kind of have to take him. But then again, I say the same thing about Xavier Watts too. Both those two.
Yeah, Watts is the one I was gonna ask next. I was gonna say Watts because Watts is a guy, he can come in and be a starting safety. He's very talented. Nolan, my only question with Nolan is he kind of doesn't fit our needs right now because he's a 3 tech. So we already have Grady Jarrett. We already have Gervon Dexter. I think you'd have to permanently move Gervon Dexter to nose tackle if you're taking Walter Nolan. So that's up to Dennis Allen. Does Dennis Allen see Gervon Dexter as a 3 tech or a nose? That's a question. I'm torn here. Scroll down a little bit. I don't like the way this board fell.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one.
No. I do like Princely, but we already got our edge. So
yeah.
Xavier Watts. I'm actually leaning towards Xavier Watts. I think he's probably the pick. I think because we have the edge rusher / linebacker chess piece that we get right away in round 1. Then you come back and grab a safety who's going to be a safety of the future, a long-term option there. And he can come in and learn underneath Kevin Byard, I like Xavier Watts.
Yeah, no, he's a definite pick for me too. If I had that option, the one thing I'm thinking of in the back of my mind is, do I shoot for Kevin Winston Jr. at 72, the safety out of Penn State?
I do like Winston, but that's a long way away. And I'd probably I like a couple other guys better in that area. I
Okay.
do like Winston though. But with
Yeah.
Watts on the board, I like him here. And also the Saints are prone to grab him when I do these mocks. So he's a guy you can't get at the second pick either a lot of the time. So let's take Xavier Watts. I like him.
All right, I'm cool with that. What do you think, Chad? Let me know.
That would be Jalen Walker and Xavier Watts to start out. Two defenders beefing up Dennis Allen's defense here, giving you a little chess piece. Xavier Watts is a guy you can move around a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Bear Truth, if you're heading out, I do want to let you know I did see your question regarding Jalen Walker and where he fit on the team. I will answer that later at the end once we do the final draft and all the picks are in. So when you do come back, jump to that point in the video and I'll answer that question for you. Okay, buddy?
Bear down.
All right, man. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We're going to snag Xavier Watts, pick 39. No, we're not going to do any of these trades. I like that the PFN gives you these free trades, but some of them are a little crazy.
They offer next year's picks too much, like some crazy ones. I wish they were more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they went with Landon Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, so they did go with Landon Jackson here. So we do have the option of getting Walter Nolan. So
Man.
we can go down that route. Harold Fan Jr. is still on the board. Ursery's here. Who else? Josh Connerly.
Connerly and Ursery are both there. I think Connerly would be a good option here because he's a guy who's a left tackle, but he also could project inside to guard long term as well. So you kind of see where he works out, but he's a good player and he's going to add depth to this offensive line.
Yeah, that was going to be. That's why I wasn't really in on taking Ursery at 39 because I really wanted to get Josh Connerly at 41.
I think Connerly ends up going the first round, but there's a chance he falls here, and I think he'd be a really good pick.
Yeah, I think this is where Mike Green kind of helped us, blowing him up at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of knocked him down a peg or two a little bit in the eyes of fans and maybe a couple scouts. So it's a possibility. So fingers crossed. Like I would go with Josh Connerly here. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I like it. I think Carson Schweisinger is also a sleeper, but we took a guy who can play linebacker or edge rusher in the first round, so not an option for us here. But just when the draft comes around, he is a name to watch. I think it would be a surprise to most Bears fans if pick 41 we took a linebacker. I think it's definitely an option though. I do like Caleb Johnson here a lot though too. He's not going to fall to 72. Where do they have Quinshawn and Travion ranked?
They have Quinshawn 64, Travion at 68, and then we go all the way down to DJ Giddens.
So I would probably take Quinshawn here, to be honest, but the chance of them falling in this draft, we have a shot. In real life, I don't see it, but snagging one of them here or Connerly. We'll go ahead and for the draft purposes, let's take Connerly and let's hope one of the running backs fall to us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. All right, Josh Connerly, here we go.
Don't take running backs. Oh, I saw Caleb go. Oh, there it is. We got both of them. Okay.
Yeah, so we have our pick. I'm actually surprised Xavier went at 71.
They didn't see his 40 time.
Well, I know he said he had a hamstring issue or something. That's why he ran, slower than normal. But who knows?
Man. Another guy that would be really awesome here, Alfred Collins, man. Whew.
Yeah.
I love that player.
That's a tough one because you're like, if you look at it here, we can take the running back at 72, but we're going to lose out on guys like Kyle Kennard. I mean, we already have an edge rush; doesn't really matter. Emory Jones is another one who I actually thought about when we were talking about Connerly, skipping Connerly and hoping to get Emory Jones. I understand he's more of a right tackle, but we could kick him inside. And I think
he's a guy who could play guard. I think more realistically, we would have taken Quinshawn Judkins or Travion Henderson or even Caleb Johnson with that pick. And then coming back here, Emory Jones and Alfred Collins would probably be who we're deciding between.
Yeah.
Get it. But since we got Connerly, though, I'm taking Judkins, man. I can't pass up Judkins. That's my guy.
Yeah, no, if I had to pick between Judkins or Henderson, it's Judkins all the way. So we're just going to go ahead and take that. But quickly, let's see where some other guys went. You see, Swinson went at 67, unfortunately. Princely went all the way to round 3. I don't see that happening, but it could.
It could.
Darius
Still though, and
Alexander.
they got Darius. Man, they upgraded that D line. Ooh,
Yeah. Grab Judkins there. We'll go all the way to 148. That's why I didn't want to do normal speed because we'd be here all day.
I know you can't do normal speed when you have this far between picks. It kills. Oh, there went Bayshul Tootin.
All right, this is
Dylan Gabriel. It is.
Yeah, Jamari Caldwell.
I was just gonna say his name. Now I love Dylan Sampson. If we wouldn't have taken a running back, we could have pivoted with him. But if we can land Jamari Caldwell in round 5, I would run that card in.
Yeah, I think as soon as his name popped up, he's just like a bowling ball. He's gonna just fly through, and he can take over that nose tackle too.
Kyle Williams, another great pick at this position. I like him a lot.
Mm-hmm. There's one guy I'm going to bring up later on, and I think you already know who it is based on who I've been talking about recently with you. But I don't think he's in the simulator, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, but Kyle Williams is definitely another good player. I know he's done a lot of work out of the slot. Another good guard is Derek Dillinger. Dellinger here from LSU. Riley Miles is another, developmental defensive tackle to look at. So a couple good guys, but I'd have to say Jamari Caldwell.
I'd take Caldwell, dude.
I don't think there's any question about that here.
Especially with how we hadn't grabbed a D tackle yet, so it just worked out. That one, the board finally fell how we wanted. Oh, there went Cody Simon. Now we're looking at just some sleepers. I do like Beanie Wells.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. No information. So is there any position that you really want to target?
We took a safety, right? Yeah. I would look at a wide receiver here. We haven't grabbed a wide receiver. We haven't grabbed a center. We haven't grabbed a linebacker.
Yeah, because we have Jalen Walker, we have Xavier Watts, we have Josh Connolly, who can kind of play either tackle or guard. Our running back at 72 and our defensive tackle for 148.
Actually, I'd look at an edge rusher again.
Because
you can still maybe grab an edge here. Yeah, Baron Sorrell, Johnny Walker, RJ Oben, all 3 of those guys.
I do want to take a look at possibly Ahmad Hassan there.
He's not bad, man. He's not a bad player.
No, he's definitely the only other guy I think at Boise State that's going to go out in the draft this year.
Peek at the corners. Let's just see what they got. Okay. No,
nothing here.
Nobody I'm a huge fan of.
Edge. We don't really need Nazir Stackhouse anymore.
No, he wouldn't have been a bad fit, though.
No, he wouldn't have at all. I took him a couple mocks ago. I really like him. He's not really a pass rusher at all, but he's there just to gum up the works.
I'd have to take Plank with this pick. Walt crashed out. Go to offense. Look at centers. Just take a peek at the centers because I still think a developmental center is always an option.
Mm-hmm. I really like Drew Kendall out of Boston.
Yeah, Drew Kendall's not bad.
Mm-hmm. What's we got here? Brad Stevens.
Tight end. Look at the tight ends too.
Joshua Simon actually is nice out of South Carolina.
Does it go up? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. I like Jackson Hawes, but he's a blocking tight end. I don't know. He's not really a receiver.
Yeah.
We grabbed Connerly already, Amos. I don't know if we need a tackle. I don't know if I'd draft 2 tackles in this draft. I'd probably look to grab go back to wide receiver. We gotta find a wide receiver. There's gotta be somebody here. Oh, actually, I like LeJohntay Webster because he can return kicks.
Yeah, both the Colorado receivers are pretty good. I like Jeremy Horn a lot.
Yeah, Jimmy Horn's good too.
And Keandre Lambert-Smith is another just straight burner out of the outside. So, and even like Efton Chisholm right there, really interesting prospect. I know he had a really good All-Star game.
Yeah, we
for
could be
I think he was in
looking
the
to grab
Sharm
a
Bowl.
couple of these guys as UDFAs.
Definitely. Now, there's one guy I'm just going to bring him up here at 233, which is probably where I take him, and that's Coleman Owen out of Ohio University.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I I
Okay.
will pound the table for this kid. He's
Where's he
done.
at on the list? Is he on the? Is he on there or no?
He is not in the any simulator as far as I'm
Oh, he's
aware.
not even on the simulator. Damn.
Yeah. So he plays at a really really small school, but
Well, he's our UDFA signing then, since we can't draft him.
yeah. So I would definitely take him, put him in the UDFA list. But he's a majority of a slot receiver. He does play some outside. I think he did about roughly 5% on the outside, so he played majority out of the slot. His pro day was yesterday, so he ended up running a 4.43 40 time. He's just one of those guys that knows his route tree extremely well. He's smart enough to see where the soft spots in the defense is and really just exploit those. He's not really what's the best way to put it? I wouldn't call him a world breaker. He's not going to be your number one, but
Okay.
he's going to be a guy you can trust to catch the ball and be there when you need him in big moments. But in terms of this, he can also return punts too and kicks. He's done that. That's probably where he would make his mark to begin with. But I would be fine with the
That's
Jonte
kind of
West.
what we're looking for here. Yeah. I mean, any of these guys probably could. There's a lot of kick return. I know Webster had some good years. Him or Horn would work.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wester here if you're fine with that.
Yep. And then
So we're at 240.
Vernon Broughton, man, that guy, no way he falls this far.
6'5", 311. Not too bad. I mean, really looking at the board here, what we've taken so far, we could pretty much go with whatever.
Go to the QB. Can we get a QB at this point? Nope, they're all gone.
Cam Miller, Devontae Smith. I'm trying to think if there's anyone worth it.
Will Rogers. Oh no. Graham Mertz.
Yeah, there is nobody here.
Nope.
Oh, Foster, I just got your text. Hold on, let me see.
Foster.
So Foster sent me over his speed draft. He took Will Campbell at 10, Tyreek Williams at 39, Landon Jackson at 41, Travion Henderson at 72, Charles Grant at 148, Jackson Halls at
Charles Grant
233.
ain't falling that low.
No. And Keandre Lambert Smith at 240. So good one there, man. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't be mad with it. Honestly, I'm not a huge Will Campbell fan, personally. He's a fine player, and I think he did okay at LSU. So I get the point of him being a top 5 pick. But at the same time, his reaction yesterday or the other day to at the media for LSU, I don't know, man. If you're already worried about people yelling at you about your arm length now, how are you going to handle Chicago the first time somebody puts you on skates?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a concern. I personally find Connerly a better player, anyways.
I like Will Campbell though. I think the arm length stuff just is getting taken out of control due to social media, but him letting it get to him and the way he went off about it in his presser was kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, what is this?
Ooh, here's another guy I really like, Addison West out of Western Michigan. A little bit undersized, so he's going to need to put on a little bit more weight at the NFL level, but he is a standout guard for them.
Yeah.
I think he was actually probably the highest graded guard in the NCAA overall. There's him, and there's also Jacob Gardner, the center out of Colorado State. He's not on here either, but he's another guy to watch out for as a possible UDFA pick after the draft.
Oh yeah, a lot of options here. I'm honestly, you make this pick, Walt. Take your sleeper.
Who's on defense? What did we get so far? I kind of want to go back to edge and see what's here. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Boise State edge rusher on this one. Last pick, it's round 7. Doesn't matter if he works out or not.
He did all those reps on the bench.
Yeah, he's got some power, man. And honestly, I think if we didn't take Jalen Walker at 10, I would try to shoot for actually Elijah Roberts from SMU.
Yeah, I like Elijah Roberts.
That kid is phenomenal. You're talking his pressure machine at 60 plus pressures this year. He wasn't really a force on Miami. He was more of a rotational player. But when he jumped over to SMU in the transfer portal and blew up. But he's along the same lines as Deo there. He's the guy, who's big, strong. If you found the rep against him and Holland Pierce at the Senior Bowl, that was an interesting one to watch. So he can really get into your chest and just throw you back. And Pierce is what, 6'8", like 360.
Oh yeah.
So he's a mauler. But the way this board fell, he just wasn't here. But overall, guys, we got pick 10. We got Jalen Walker going. 39 is Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. Josh Connolly at 41. Quinshon Judkins at 72. Jamari Caldwell at 148. LeJounte Wester at 233. And Ahmad Hassanian at 240. Overall, I think we hit on all of the needs right now. There's going to be some UDFAs like we talked about there, so they're going to fill in the gaps. But what do you think of the draft overall, Swift?
It's a little bit different than some of the ones I've done in the past. Seeing Josh Conerly fall there was interesting. I thought the rest of the board, it kind of fell weird as far as the second round went. Having Walter Nolan and Omarion Hampton there, it was kind of a weird one to me. I thought the first 10 picks were pretty realistic as well. There's definitely an option that Jalen Walker is the best player on the board, and I don't think he's talked about enough. So I like that we're able to get his name out there, and I think he is a guy Bears fans should know. I do think there's actually a real good likelihood he goes before pick 10, him and Tet McMillan, which leaves the chances of someone else falling to us. I think the chances of Mason Graham or Ashton Jeanty, one of those two being on the board, are rising. And if we can get one of those two, I'm a home run. But I really like grabbing Xavier Watts in round 2. We grabbed Conerly, and then Judkins in round 3 just really capped it off.
Yeah, I do want to address Beartooth Nine's question here. Is like, where do you fit Walker in? Walker is going to be, at least this season, sitting behind Deo on that left side as your speed rusher off the edge once you kick him inside. Now, the problem with Jalen Walker was Georgia wasn't able to really use him as an edge rusher the entire time. So there's times where you see him rush the passer. There's times where he's an off-ball linebacker. There's times where he's back in coverage on the inside too. But even to that point, he still led the Bulldogs in pressures, sacks, pass rush, win weight percentage, and I know he led all linebackers in that regard too. So,
see, I think he would play all over the defense. I think he'd be a guy. Some plays he'd sub in for Tremaine Edmonds. He could sub in for TJ Edwards. He could sub in a defensive end, and he's a guy who Dennis Allen would put all over the defense, move him around, and kind of just use him as a weapon in his first year. And you don't know if he's rushing the passer or if he's dropping into coverage or what he's doing, but he's really good at spying the quarterback, getting after the quarterback, and stopping the run. So no matter where you put him, he's a guy who can be a difference maker right away and a guy who's going to help the defense get better.
Exactly. There was one actually interesting rep, and I know it was I think it was the Texas championship game they played. I don't think Banks was there, but when he was going up against the left tackle, it really did it for me that you don't see a lot with guys coming off the edges. He ended up grabbing the tackle's wrist at one point and kind of pushing his arm up in the air. So there's little things with Jalen Walker that really surprised me. But you're 100% correct there, Swift. In his first season, he's more than likely going to be all over the place. And that's why I really liked him, because he can come off the edge as your screamer, but at the same time, he can also sub in for Tremaine Edmonds. He can go over where TJ Edwards is, rush the passer from there, and be a run defender. So it gives Dennis Allen a ton of flexibility on his defense. And also, when we're talking about Dennis Allen, it gives Dennis Allen another weapon he doesn't have.
Yep.
And that's the main thing. That's what makes this pick make so much sense to me. I don't know about you, but I hope that answers your question, Beartooth 9.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy who's a chess piece on defense, and then Xavier Watts is a long-term safety option. Connerly's a guy who's going to provide depth on the offensive line. He could fit in right away as swing tackle and backup guard, so he could challenge Braxton Jones. Judkins is probably going to be our starting running back. Caldwell's going to help on the D-line rotation. Overall, I don't think we got enough impact players, but it's a pretty decent draft and one that's would help this team out long term for sure.
Yeah, see, that's my whole philosophy when I'm drafting here. Like, you can go for complete impact, like you said. We could have gone with anyone else besides Jalen Walker here.
Yeah, we could have went with Tyler Warren in the first round and then seen how things fell after that, and I think we would have probably been more of an impact. But I do think Jalen Walker's an impact type guy. I don't know if Watts and Connerly are right away, simply because we have Braxton Jones and Kevin Byard. So I don't know how much they would play as rookies unless there were injuries. But Judkins is an impact player, and he's a guy we got in round 3. So still did enough, I think, to be a really good draft.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. We're drafting not for today. We're drafting for tomorrow, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was just kind of how the board fell. I mean,
yeah.
Xavier Watts and Connerly were really good players there. I mean, we could have went with, you could have taken a tight end or a defensive tackle there, but I think is Alfred Collins really an impact player at defensive tackle? Not really. I mean, he might help your team a lot against the run, but he's not a huge impact guy. So I really like this draft. We only got one or two of my personal favorite players. I think Judkins is definitely on that list, and so is Jamari Caldwell. But I still like it. I think it's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if this is what we came out with at the end of the day, I'd be really happy. I'd be like, let's go. I'd probably go out and buy a Jalen Walker jersey.
Yeah, I wonder how. It's probably one of my biggest question marks of our first pick is how does Dennis Allen feel about Jalen Walker? I'm not sure Dennis Allen views him as a fit, but basically when you read scouting reports, they say as long as you have a creative defensive coordinator, he's going to love this guy. And to me, Dennis Allen's a creative defensive coordinator that's going to find a way to use Jalen Walker. So I think it does make sense if he falls to us at pick 10.
Yeah. I mean, the only team I'd really see him going to is probably Carolina.
Yeah.
I know he's got family out there. I think he's from North Carolina or South Carolina, one of the two. I forget off the top of my head. But he does have, family connections out there. And he talked about that at the combine. So we always run the risk of losing him there. But, with him, he's a special player, and I think most people just haven't seen that yet, just because he wasn't like a standard guy. He wasn't like a Will Anderson guy, where he was the focal point of the team.
But anytime you watch Georgia tape, he's the guy that stands out, and that's why, as much as I like Mykel Williams, when I watch Mykel Williams tape, you still see more Jalen Walker splash plays, and it's like, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be okay with Mykel Williams too. He wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't mind it. But I don't know. It's just the thing with him, and like I said, Dennis Allen is a really creative guy. I watched a lot of his stuff, especially when I was doing my Chase Young video.
We'll do another one next time. We'll go for impact players, okay, guys? This is the non-impact.
Yeah, we'll go full on balls to the wall with that next time. So, but I think we're just shy of 50 minutes here. I think we've held up everyone long enough. But I do want to thank everyone for coming. Captain CB here. We got Foster here from BCP. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. They're on every Thursday. I jumped in there last night for a little bit with them. So
great you were on there last night? Damn,
no, I was just in the chat last night. I came near the end. So that's
I always forget it's on, bro. I miss Greg Gabriel's show every week too. I caught like the last 20 minutes this week on Bar Room. Yeah. I'm like, I need reminders.
I'm always, I'm up late at night. You know me. So like in the morning, I'm just doing other stuff, and I always miss his show.
I'm always watching. I think last night I was watching NCAA tournament, and I had like some tape on my laptop. So like Dan used to remind me. Shorty used to reach out and remind me every week before the show, and he would send me an invite too, and I would always watch the show. And half the time I would even join, but haven't got one in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, so there's that. I mentioned playing. Who else we forget? I don't want to forget Bear Truth 9, of course. Like I said, Bear Truth jumped to the end of the video. We got the answer to your question there. Bears hype man, it's good to see you too, man. I love your stuff over there on X. You know what, guys? If you really want, before I jump into that, did you see EA Play has NCAA football 25 up there for free?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. So the reason I brought it up is you can go ahead and play Ohio University and see my boy Coleman Owen for yourself.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So he's actually their highlighted player when they come in and do the whole entrance and all that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. But if you want to know more, jump on to my channel there. He's the newest video, his prospect breakdown. I went into, there is some film in there, but unfortunately, being from a small school, you're not going to get any all 22 on him, or at least I can't. I'm not cool enough. So there is that. I'm trying to think what else.
What's his name? I can look, see if I have some.
Coleman Owen, Ohio University. He's not on the wide receiver list in that stuff we have. Believe me, I checked.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have it too. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's the first place I went.
Yep, never mind then.
No, but yeah, it's a lovely Friday afternoon. It's just about 3:00 my time. So I just want to give you guys. I had a really good day yesterday. Some great news. I'll treat you all to that in soon, a couple weeks. So there's that. And I wanted to give you guys something a little special, something a little different. I don't do a lot of live shows here, and Swifty, thank you again for coming on, man.
Oh yeah, man, it was a good time.
Yeah, so ever since we did that live the day Drew Dahlman signed, I was like, I got to do it, man. It was fun.
It was a good time. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. So
you made a friend with Greg Gabriel too that day, didn't you?
I did. He's not calling me an ass anymore. All right, guys. So again, thank you.
Shout out Plank and Foster and Kumar. You guys in the chat. Much love.
Yeah. Like I said, if there's anything you would do differently, drop it in the comments below. And of course, that's something we'll take into account next time. I got a couple more prospect breakdowns. So if there's somebody you want to see, let me know. I will put it together for you, just for you. All right. For you. So Swift, I think we are done here, my man. I think we're doing good.
Have a good one. Bear down.
Yeah. As always, bear down, guys. Appreciate you. And until, like I said, until next time, bear down. Take it easy, guys.